Got an arrow building session and a review on the channel for you here today. I'm building these Easton SuperDrive Micros. So I'm building these arrows for a student of mine, and basically they wanted some arrows and they wanted to pick the SuperDrive Micros, which is great because I haven't seen these yet. I've heard a decent amount about them, and I figured might as well review them while I have them in my hands, seeing how I have to build them anyway for my students.
You're watching the Kaminski YouTube channel.
Right now, what I think about them is they're very thin, very small, and I definitely think they'll be a decent arrow to go with. Now, why they're different than some of the other things that Easton has, like the Avances or similar type of arrows, I'm not sure. So we'll have to definitely take a look at them and keep an eye out for anything that I notice throughout this building process. Between this and the Axis and the Avance, whatever, so far I'm liking the look of these better. They're pretty good as far as what I see here on the finish of the arrow itself. The label looks pretty good. It's not necessarily aligned most like as perfect as it could be, and it cuts off part of the logo in some areas. I don't know if that changes with the spine stiffness changing, because the outside of the diameter changes as the stiffness goes up. These are very weak. They're only 950 spine. They are 5.1 grains an inch, and they have some laser etching with the actual batch number on them, which is really cool to see. And you know, it's an all carbon arrow, and you can see that with the carbon dust on my hands just from barely handling these. But you can see there in this on the shaft itself, yeah, there you go, you can see the actual like laser etching, I think is what that is. That tells you know, the batch number that it came from, as well as 5.1 grains an inch. You know, right off the bat, just looking at them, they look like a decent little arrow. I think one day I'd like to get a set of these on my own in the spine that I use, so that way I can test them and shoot them myself. Because, you know, all carbon arrows are nice. Parallel shaft arrows tune very easily and set up pretty easily. And depending on the spine tolerance and the weight tolerance and all those things, they can actually produce some pretty good performances as far as scores are concerned. So in addition to the arrow shafts there, I've got some components here. I've got pins that match the carbon ones, just your basic glue-in pins, some pin knocks, and some 4mm ML break-offs that are in the number 2 variant. So they're 70 to 90 grains, and they should fit right into the arrow, no problem. I'm going to leave them at 90 and cut them a little long for the student, so that way probably they can grow into them and hopefully not have to buy arrows so quickly thereafter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition the camera over the bench here and get to cutting them, gluing the components in, and show you what I'm seeing as far as the arrow quality and how it goes together, the fit and finish, the tolerances, and how the components fit into the arrows. And yeah, we'll see how they are and go from there. So one of the main questions that came about this arrow, the SuperDrive Micro, from my Discord server, which is attached to my Patreon page, was basically, what's the difference between this arrow and the other 4mm all carbon arrows that Easton has, like the Avance arrows, and the 4mm Axis arrows that are for hunting, but you could probably use for tournament because they have actually better straightness tolerance than these arrows. And based on what I saw on the website, as far as the description that Easton gave, basically when you compare the specs of outside diameter and spine compared to grains per inch, you'll see that the SuperDrive Micros are much lighter and skinnier outside diameter-wise compared to the other two arrows, which probably means that it is a higher ton carbon. A higher ton carbon rating means that it's stiffer but lighter. Potentially a little more brittle as well, but that's usually a trade-off that people can live with because you get a structurally more sound arrow with a higher ton carbon. And all that is telling me is basically that these are the lightest version, the smallest, skinniest version within whatever spine you're looking at getting. They are not the straightest. The match grade 4mm Axis arrows for hunting that could be used for target are actually a little bit straighter. They're one plus or minus 1/1000 of an inch. These are plus or minus 2. The Avance Sports are plus or minus 2.5. And the regular Avances are plus or minus 0.005 of an inch. So you can see that they change. That also correlates to their cost in general. Also, the Avance arrows didn't note that they were made of 100% pure carbon. It just said a pure carbon shaft. So they weren't really as, I guess, forward with them being an all carbon arrow. So as you can see, I've already got the arrows here on the bench, and I glued the pin knock adapters in and then installed pin knocks. They all went in just fine, no surprises, as Easton's tolerances on components are always top notch. I've never had an issue, not once in my experience, and everything just fits together as I would expect it to fit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these arrows to length and glue in the points and continue to build these arrows out. So far, I'm very happy with the quality of them. You know, the labeling is not exactly pretty. It leads me to believe that, based on what I'm seeing with edges of labels kind of lifting where the overlap is in this area, there's a black definitive line there, that the labels will probably just fall off over time pretty easily. Not peel off, but scratch off when you smack them together, when they vibrate together inside your quiver. Not a big deal, but I know some people really like to keep the labels nice and fresh on some of their arrows. But it's difficult because it's huge and it's big and it's going to get scratched. So, but otherwise, you know, just looking at them, they look very concentric as far as the centering of the core relative to the outside wall. I just, I'm overall quite happy with them. I don't see any real problems. I could grab my spine tester, check some straightness values, as well as the spine compared to what they're labeled at. And maybe I'll do that really quick here before I start cutting and fletching them. So when they rate arrows, they rate them at a 28-inch span. And if you can see here, that's 28 inches there. I'll grab an arrow. Get it on here where it's not affecting the actual knock portion where I've put in the pin adapter there. Zero my scale, and I'm going to spin them and see what kind of straightness tolerance is. That one's telling me 0, so very straight. Now I'll check the spine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, these are 950s. I don't know if I could even get these things to rate on this because they are so weak. Let's see if I get enough adjustment out of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I cannot measure the spine of these arrows, so I'm unable to verify that. I can't tell you radially what these do. They're just, this spine tester does not have enough throw to measure that amount of actual spine deflection, and it's just impossible. So sorry about that. Can't really fix that at the moment. I don't have a spine checker that'll work for that. Let's check another arrow, see what kind of spine straightness tolerance rather. Got a 0.5 thousandths on that one. These are nowhere near as accurate as the Easton checker themselves that uses a laser to measure it. That one's right at 1 thousandths. So they're definitely straight. They're definitely very high quality as far as that's concerned. So it's nice to see. I'm going to get my arrow saw set up and my vacuum set up in here so I can cut these arrows to the length that I want to. All right, I'm cutting these to 28 inches. So I've got this stop here set at 3/16 of an inch short of 28 inches due to the ear. So that way it's true from the groove of the knock to the end of the shaft as far as the length's concerned. So, Rue, you gotta go. And no surprises, very easy to cut all carbon arrows. Way easier than cutting aluminums. The saws just don't need to be as powerful for that to happen. So, okay, now time for components. These are the 4mm ML breakoffs, number 2, which are the 70 to 90 grains. It's interesting now how everything is going to this system where you got to go with different points, sizes to match the OD of the, the point itself, to match the OD of the arrow. For not just durability purposes of the arrow, as far as if you had too small of a point, it would peel off some carbon bits when it were to hit the target, because it would splinter the end of the shaft because it wouldn't be protected by the point. but also have the point be the same OD as the shaft, so that way you can pull it smoothly out of target butts. So it's nice. It's just a little bit more confusing. There's a little bit more to deal with, and you know, overall, I think it's a win. So they look fine. They're normal Easton components, no issues. Everything looks great on them. Stainless steel, and should be very easy to install. I'm going to use hot melt. Set this off to the side to cool. The fitment on them was just as tight as expected. Nothing out of the ordinary. A high quality build here as far as arrows are concerned. In regards to Easton, they're doing great as far as component tolerance management and the overall arrow themselves. No surprise, because Easton produces massive amounts of arrows, so because of that, it allows them to really get good at selecting which arrows go in which batch and be very selective as to which arrows even get a label and leave the factory. It just overall gives you, the consumer, a much better opportunity to get the arrows that you paid for, and there's absolutely no change in that as far as this is concerned on that arrow. So I'm going to set up my fletching jig here. I'm just going to use a Bits and Burger because it's very affordable, and if my student needs to refletch his arrows, he can do this without having to spend $300 plus on a Veinmaster Pro. So I'm going to fletch them up left helical just because, using the Wave Pro veins in white. But first though, I need to make sure the jig is set up correctly so I get full contact up and down the shaft itself. Okay, so I'm set there. All I do is I make sure that the back of the clamp and the front of the clamp are dead center in the center of the arrow. That way there's no issue of the vein not touching the shaft. Like if this was the shaft and this was the vein, making sure they're on top of each other like this and not misaligned slightly, because then either the leading edge of the vein or the trailing edge of the vein cannot be attached. And especially with these veins here, it's super critical to get them lined up straight. The reason I'm going with the Wave Pros is that they are bigger and lighter, but they're not spin wings. Andy's a novice shooter, just starting, so they're more durable, like a compound style type vein, but they're still lightweight and grab lots of air, just like a spin wing does, stabilizing the arrow super fast, and should be nice and forgiving for them. So I'm going to head outside now because I'm going to use this accelerant when doing my fletching, and it stinks. And it's probably not very good to breathe in, so I'm not going to do this inside. I'm going to go do that outside and fletch these arrows super fast, so that way I can get them to the customer and he can enjoy these arrows. Finally outside, going to fletch these up now. Doing it on the back of my tailgate here on the truck. Just easy. That's all I've got right now. I don't have a table set up outside or a picnic table or anything yet, so I've got my Wave Pro veins here. I already wiped the shafts down with Max Clean wipes, arrow wipes, and I'm just going to use Max Bond today, my Wave Pro veins with some adhesive accelerator. By the way, all of the things that I'm using in today's video, as far as, you know, components and fletching jigs and all those kind of things, I will have links in the description below in case you're interested in picking up any of those products, or at least checking them out to learn more about them. So I've already have my jig set up, and I'm just using white fletchings. That's pretty simple, and I'm going to put them as far back on the clamp as I can get them. That means they'll be as close to the knock as possible. And one critical upgrade that I've used on this Bits and Burger fletching jig here is the AAE Bits knock receiver. I have a review for that I've already given on the knock receiver itself. I will have links in the description below for that too, and a card at the top up there in case you haven't seen it yet. It's a massive, massive must-have upgrade for a Bits and Burger fletching jig if you're using one. It evenly spaces the veins, and it's indexable, which is excellent. So those are available on my website, jkaminski.com too. They're finally back in stock, and I'm fulfilling back orders, but have a few of them still available. So this should go pretty quick because of the accelerant I've got. Really should just be a very quick process to fletch up these dozen. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's nice and quick. Because that's all it takes with that accelerator. Just get it close or get it in place, hit it with a little bit of spray, and it's dry already. And just like that, got one done, very quick. I like the accelerator. All right, there you have it. Dozen arrows fletched in under 20 minutes, even with me talking to you. So that was probably about 17 minutes or so actual fletching time for a dozen arrows. That's not too bad as far as I'm concerned. Way faster than spin wings when you use the accelerator. It's awesome. So here it is here, 3 degrees of helical. Maybe you can see the actual setup there. I find in general with these veins, the more helical the better, although 3 degrees is a great starting point regardless. So 3 degrees is what this person is going to be running. I didn't leave any bare shafts because they're very, very new as far as shooting is concerned, and I just don't think it's worth it. As long as the arrow is flying fine, then I'm not going to worry yet about bare shaft tuning because I don't think their skill level is quite there yet. Haven't seen them shoot yet, but just based on the amount of time they've been shooting, it's time to focus on form and technique and getting the shot process down rather than worrying about equipment. So that really rounds it out. I mean, these arrows are quite nice. They spin like they're dead straight. You know, I wouldn't expect anything different because of the fit of the tolerances as far as the points are concerned. They definitely were fairly tight, but not too tight in the shaft. So whatever these are, they're very straight, cut here at 28 inches. And I mean, I don't feel a single vibration in any one of these at all. They are super, super straight. So I bet you, for the most part, based on what I measured there inside on the ram spine tester, that one's got a tiny wobble to it, but nothing to be really even concerned with. I mean, they are so smooth. So anyway, yeah, the spine checker said they were less than what they said of a 0.02 of an inch plus or minus. I only did 3 and I saw all of them were under 1. I didn't bother doing the rest. And I'm very happy with them. They went together excellent. They look fine. They look great. The labels are okay. Like I said, I think you know, they're probably going to come off pretty easy. And the fit and finish of all the components was excellent. I'm not surprised. It's Easton. They know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a long time. And like I said, the volume of arrows that they produce, they can do some really good selection as far as making sure each batch is super closely matched. So yeah, no complaints. Absolutely no complaints. I have no idea how they shoot. I don't think I could even find a bow in my closet of bows that would allow me to shoot a 950 spine. So unfortunately, I can't shoot them on the channel. Maybe one day I'll buy them in my spine and give them a go, because there's always questions about what's worth it, what's not. Are they good? Are they not? How do they compare to an X10 or something else? Impossible to know without actually shooting them and scoring them and testing them myself. So I'm sorry I can't do that yet, but eventually I'll be able to do those kind of things. Overall, I like the price point, I like the arrow, and I don't think you're going wrong if you're selecting the SuperDrive Micro. Myself, I'd be interested in shooting them just to see, especially maybe at field archery. If I wasn't very good at judging yardage, this would be one heck of a fast arrow, and I wonder how it would shoot. I haven't done much in the way of reviewing arrows on the channel yet, so if you're interested in other types of arrows or different arrows out there, please let me know. Comment below and name the actual arrow if you wouldn't mind, because I don't know what people want out there. There's a lot of talk about the you know, the cheaper arrows, of course. Always people are interested in more budget-friendly type equipment reviews, and I want to do those myself because there's a lot of options out there that there just wasn't when I was shooting, or at least not to the level that it is available now. The depth, the amount of different selections, and what seems to be decent quality has just exploded over the last several years. So it's hard to keep up as far as that's concerned on my end because I'm just not super involved in that kind of stuff. But I am definitely excited to become more and more involved with that. So thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody having patience on this video. It took me a little bit to get out because I have been so busy. I am finally officially done with everything non-archery, which is awesome. So I have now fully committed to what I'm doing now with this channel and growing inside of archery itself as far as coaching and gear reviews and overall YouTube content and manufacturing as well. Starting with these vanes, got some tiller bolts, and many more things to come that are way bigger, way exciting, and I can't wait to share them with you.